guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Beyond Her podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in again. So I'm excited. We're working on it still. But I'm excited for today's guest. I have my friend Missy Elizalde. Right? Elizalde. Which I just learned her last name today. I thought it was Marcuya this whole time, but I guess that's just the nickname, right?
That's just my nickname, yeah.
Okay, well, go ahead. Introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Missy Makuha Elizalde, and my nickname is Maracuja. So that's like my Instagram handle and all of that stuff.
Like the passion fruit drink, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Like passion fruit in Portuguese. Because
Okay.
it was my Brazilian coaches who gave me the nickname.
That's awesome.
Basically. Yeah.
Why do they call you passion fruit?
When I signed up for my very first jiu-jitsu gym in Boston, they saw my middle name, my mom's maiden name, which is Makuha, and it's spelled Macuja, which is just like super similar to maracuja in Portuguese, and so they just started calling me that. And then some of the Americans, they didn't know that that's what they were saying, and they just heard like the syllables, I guess, and they started calling me Barracuda because it sounded similar enough. And it was just really funny because it's like this tiny girl, and they're like, yeah, go roll with Barracuda. and it's just me.
Yeah.
And I was a white belt
like,
too.
"Hi."
Yeah, it's me. So that's why I got these tattoos.
That's awesome.
But, yeah.
Well, I'm really excited for this episode because I think we just recently became friends. Are we good to call each other friends? Are we friends now?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Are you kidding?
I don't know where we're at yet, but I've called you friend. I introduced you as my friend on the podcast.
We're friends.
So
friends. I think so.
She's just like, yeah, I don't know
We're
why she calls
homegirls.
me her friend. We're not friends.
No. It's hilarious. Oh my
But
God.
we just recently became friends, and I thought you were like, I've always thought you were a really cool person. Like when
thank you.
hearing your whole like martial arts background, but not even that. I always like to start with my guests about their childhood and their upbringing because I think that really helps paint a picture for like the viewers to see what led you to where you're at today. So go ahead, let's dive into it. Where you come from? You're how long have you been in America for?
I came here when I was 18 in 2016. Yeah, for college.
Yeah.
But I'm born and raised in Pasay City, Philippines. And my mom's Filipina and my dad is from Spain, so that's why I'm ethnically confusing. And I was a dancer for my mom. She's like a pretty big deal in the performing arts community in the Philippines, and she has like a whole lot of accolades in that way, so I was always kind of pushed towards ballet. And so I started dancing a little bit later in life. I started at 11, and because of that I was like injured, but I ended up sticking with it for about 5.5 years, I think, or 6 years, and I was the second youngest company member in the company that I worked in, so I was a professional for that time, and then I was still in high school, so I was going to school and doing that at the same time, before I decided, like, I'm going to go to the States for college. So my senior year, it was mostly concentrating on studies, and then I went to Boston. I went to Emerson College in Boston. I don't know how much you want to know about my childhood.
Oh, yeah, whatever you want to share. What's significant about your childhood that you think has shaped you into like where you're at today?
I think my parents, definitely. I'm the daughter of two pretty incredible people. I love my parents, but my mom, she's the prima ballerina of the Philippines, so she's like the first foreign soloist with the Kirov Ballet in St. Petersburg, so that's like a pretty big deal in that way. And like she really kind of taught me discipline and all of that because she was my mom, but she was also my boss, for a long time.
Yeah.
So that very much, I honestly think that my ballet is like the biggest thing that informed me, I think, to my work ethic today, and that everything that I am like is kind of built off of ballet. And then the other big thing, my dad, he is a businessman, and he's also like considered like the radio king of the Philippines, and he was also an Olympic swimmer and competed for the Philippines, so two pretty athletic people.
That's so crazy. Like two like polar opposites.
Yeah, and he's pretty cool in that way too, but he went to the Rome 1960 Summer Olympics, and he got 5th place and 7th place. And when you ask him about it, he's just like, "Yeah, they're all right." Like, he doesn't talk about the Olympics, and it's like, "Pops, it's like a pretty big deal. You like went to the Olympics," but he's like, "No." And so my dad, because he's a swimmer and all of that stuff, would always take us, around the country, and I fell in love with everything to do with the ocean pretty quickly. They always kind of joked I was a bit of like a water baby. Like I used to think that my dad was like this like superhero. At one point I thought he was literally the god Poseidon, because he was just like so great in the water, and he taught me how to swim. So me and my little brother began scuba diving, and I ended up kind of really going in that direction for a while. I went to Indonesia for like a month. I lived on a boat doing survey dives. Yeah, I don't know. I'm an advanced open water and scientific diver, and I have a bunch of other specialties that I cannot remember right now. But so I was really, really big into environmental conservation, marine conservation, doing marine cleanups, that sort of thing. And so that's what kind of led me to environmental law, which is what I'm kind of doing right now. I'm in my 3rd year of law school, and I've done mostly environmental stuff thus far. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of...
That's so awesome.
In a nutshell.
You got some pretty cool parents.
Yeah, no, they're pretty cool people.
Yeah.
I'm number 7 out of 8 kids. So
what?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah.
You have 8 siblings?
I'm one of 8. So
one
I
of
have
8.
7 siblings.
That is... Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Can't do math in my head. Can't do math in my head.
I'm number 7.
Yeah. That is crazy. So you're the youngest?
No, second youngest.
Second. Just having a hard time here. Math is not my strength, clearly. But that is awesome. I want to go back to your mom, prima ballerina, pretty big deal in the Philippines, and she was your boss. How do you think that dynamic affected like your guys' relationships? Did it at all, or was it kind of...
Oh, it was tough.
Yeah.
It was really tough for a while, and she will say that too. Because I was also a teenager for most of it. So it was like, we'd be kind of like at each other's throats a lot of the time. And it was funny because a lot of people would kind of joke, or maybe not joke, but I did get a little bit of pushback when I was dancing and when I was really trying to build my own career, because people were kind of gonna be like, oh, nepotism, like they're gonna accuse her of that sort of thing. And so it made my mom very conscious of the roles that she gave me. She wouldn't have any part in casting me. She'd make sure her partner would do it, or one of the other ballet masters or mistresses would do it. And it kind of backfired in its own way, because she was like, every time it was kind of like, oh, why don't we cast Missy in that role? She was like, no, we're not doing that, you know?
Wow.
I don't know how often that happened. It happened enough that I think she was just very conscious. She wanted to make sure that every part I got, every tour I was a part of or anything like that, I earned it, you know? So people were very adamant about like, okay, no, she's ready for this. You can give her this role. So it was difficult, and once I stopped dancing, our relationship got so much better. She's like my best friend now, but when we were in the thick of it, it was tough, you know? It was because you see each other at work, and ballet can be a bit of a toxic environment too, so, you know, it's just, it doesn't make for, I think, the best mother and daughter situation in the studio, and then you take it home. But now obviously we're all good, but it was props to her for dealing with me when I was a teenager, right? Because it must not have been easy, especially because ballet was just so my whole world, you know? Like, that's kind of what I said when I stopped dancing and I started doing other things. It's like, there's a saying in Tagalog, it's like, ang laki pala ng mundo, which means like, oh, the world, turns out the world's so big. Because once you're in that very concentrated space, you don't realize everything else that's going on and all the other things you can do with your life. So, yeah, I don't know.
That's crazy. I went down ballet TikTok. I don't know how. I like, you know how you like your phone listens to you and like things will pop up. Okay. So like a ballet video popped up on my TikTok and I was like, okay. And then I just kind of went down ballet TikTok and I saw a glimpse of like the dance world. And it's crazy. and it's crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't realize how, one, like, ballerinas, their feet are jacked, dude.
Are your feet are jacked?
No, like, the feet of ballerinas. So your feet are jacked? No, my feet are fine. But, like, the ballerina's feet, they...
Well, we gotta stand on our toes.
Yeah, they're, like, all bruised and cut up and beat.
Yeah.
And then, like, just the toxic environment of it all. Like, you have a certain body type, and you need to look this way. Like,
yeah.
How was that for you when you were in the thick of it all?
Well, for when I was getting injured left, right, and center, so my feet were super jacked at one point. Jacked up, not, like, jacked. So glad I could make you laugh. But, I got, like, tendonitis, and I would sprain my ankles, like, every 2 weeks. But that's also because I was hella malnourished. Like, I was, like... Are you still...
I'm still laughing for the laugh. Okay.
It's the math. It's the feet.
Math, the feet, the jacked up feet. It's just all of it.
See, we're friends.
Yes,
we're friends. Oh my god.
Okay, tendonitis?
Okay.
The slumber party.
We haven't even been drinking.
I know, this is natural.
This is just us. You should have seen us at lunch. We were like...
I know.
We were gossiping. Yeah, I was like spraining my ankles every 2 weeks, and I was super, super malnourished because I had to stay under a certain weight, you know? And this is the ages of like 13 to 15, I want to say. So obviously, like, you're going through puberty, your body is changing, you're growing, all of that stuff, and I had to be like under 100 pounds for most of it, which is like, you know, I'm biracial, so obviously I have like, I didn't look the same as everybody else in the company, who were mostly Filipinas, and so I already stood out because of that. Yeah. And then when I started to gain a little bit of weight as I got older, and I kind of like, I got my dad's legs, so it became kind of problematic, and my teachers would tell me, like, you gotta lose weight, and I was already really skinny compared to like normal people, I think. Right. But in the ballet world, I wasn't. So it was super tough because you're growing and you need to give your body more, but I wasn't. Yeah. Because I would really, really needed to stay as skinny as I could. And it just became really toxic in that way too, because everybody kind of feels like they can comment on your body. Unfortunately, it's kind of how it is. Like, your partners will say stuff like, hey, don't eat a donut today because you're going to be heavier when I lift you at the show tonight. Or,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, they make fun and that kind of thing, but for a 14-year-old girl, it's not fun to hear.
No, that's like when you're developing like your whole self-image.
Yeah.
Personality-wise.
Especially from people that you care about. You don't want to hear that kind of thing, because obviously their words have weight. And so after a while, like, it got to me more and more and more, and I developed like really bad disordered eating, and I was able to kind of fix a lot of that when I first started jiu-jitsu, which was really cool. But when I was dancing, like, you know, you don't think anything's wrong with it too, because like, not that everybody was like that, I don't think that's a fair statement, but a lot of people were. So it was just easy to kind of stay in that mentality. So it wasn't healthy. Yeah. But that being said, like, I love all the people that I always worked with. They're still some of my lifelong friends. Every time I go home, like, I see all of them. And they're all doing great now. You know, the people that I was coming up with in the company, they've all got their amazing careers. Some of them in the Philippines, some of them outside. So, you know, it's really cool to see where we all went after. But I take classes sometimes, but I never really went back to ballet quite like I was before. The main reason why I stopped was, for one, it was really difficult to keep my weight down once I got a little bit older, so it became harder and harder for me to kind of stay in the company, unfortunately. And that was kind of compounded when I got injured. So I tore they initially thought I tore a tendon in my foot. And I had an audition that week. I went and I did the audition. And then I was kind of like, Mom, I'm walking funny. Like, I should probably go see the doctor. So I did, and it turns out they did an MRI, which was like in this giant loud machine for 3 hours.
Oh my God.
And then at the end of it, the doctor was like, 90% of your tendon is gone, and that's your career. Yeah, because I was going to be,
You were still walking?
I didn't know. Like, I was like, yeah, sure. You know, my mom always said, like, I'm really stubborn. Like, sobrang tigas ng ulo ko, is what she always would say. So, I would just kind of went through it.
Yeah.
And, like, that's what the doctor said. I went in for surgery, like, a week later, and he did, I have 2 holes in my foot now. But he went in for surgery, and I woke up, like, during the surgery, which was really scary, because I saw the anesthesiologist's face, like, and he was like, Missy, go back to sleep. I was just like on the side, like, what? Okay. And I was like 16, and then I woke up, and my orthopedic surgeon was like, actually, you didn't tear a tendon, you tore an extra muscle that you had in your foot. I just took it out.
Okay.
And
look at your extra muscles growing in your body.
I know, my feet are jacked.
Yeah, your feet are jacked.
And you can go back to dancing whenever you want, basically. And but because I still had to recover from surgery, I was like on my ass for like, can I swear? I just realized.
That's
okay,
fine.
just realized.
Everyone always asks that.
I don't know. Americans censor everything. I'm like, but yeah, I never really got like back in shape like I was before that.
Right.
So at that point, it was just kind of like, and I was 16, 17, so it was the time to make the decision about where I was going to go, if I was going to go to college, if I was just going to stay dancing forever. So, yeah.
Was your mom aware of your eating disorder at the time, or was it just something?
No, I think I hid it from her pretty well. I didn't want to be a cliche, because I knew that, you know, dancers, like, oh, you probably have an ED or something like that. So I didn't want her to feel bad, for one, because she was my teacher, and she was my boss. So obviously, even if she wasn't toxic about it, like, the pressure from that all those people in my life added to it. And I didn't want her to feel bad. But I think I hid it, and because she did try to talk to me about it a couple times, I think, when she noticed that I was not, like, the happiest, or I was struggling, and I didn't have enough energy. But, you know, I think she did her best with the information she could probably see, that how I was acting. But now we talk about it, and now she's, honestly, I think she'd probably be really proud of me and all the progress that I've made with that, because it's a tough thing to deal with, and it's really taboo, unfortunately, in the Philippines, where mental health is just kind of not really talked about. For sure. You know, it's prayed away. It's that kind of thing. So, yeah.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
And now you roll around and put people in chokeholds.
Yeah, now I fight people.
Yeah. How did that transition happen?
Unfortunately, it also starts with the surgery. Yeah. So when I was in Indonesia, on the boat, I ended up like having really bad stomach pains.
When you were when I was
a research assistant. So it was like a month-long research expedition, and we didn't have any like Wi-Fi. We didn't have any cell signal or anything like that. So we were just like on a sailboat.
That's cool.
Doing 4 dives a day. Oh, it was awesome. But, you know, it meant that when I got, like, stomach pains, everyone was like, oh, you're probably just seasick. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So I go back to the Philippines, and it happens again. And I was like, that's kind of strange, because I was home for the summer. This was when I was in college. And then the night before I was supposed to leave to go back to Boston, I wind up in the ER because the pains got so bad. I had like thrown up like 7 times in 30 minutes. I couldn't keep anything down, and it was like 3 a.m. And because I had to leave so fast, we ended up just seeing what was wrong with me, and I needed to get my gallbladder out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I ended up doing that when I was still in the Philippines, so I just delayed going to Boston for about a week. And it turns out I had 76 gallstones. And yeah.
Dude. You're just like...
And I was 19.
Yeah.
So you're not expected to have to go through... That was my second, like, somewhat major surgery, I guess.
Yeah.
So, you know, I went back to Boston and I had to kind of rethink my diet. I had to rethink my lifestyle. Because up at that point, I wasn't very fit. I was definitely heavier than I was now. I wasn't doing anything besides school and some extracurriculars. So I ended up and going through a surgery, I just was kind of like new lease on life, you know, even if the surgery was very, like, it wasn't life-threatening, nothing like that. But my friend was like, you know what, why don't you try jiu-jitsu? I was like, sure. I was just in this phase where I was like, I'm gonna say yes to as many things as I want. So I went with him one day, and I remember thinking it was so weird because we just put on these like giant pajamas and we're like grappling on the floor. Yeah. And like the concept of guard, like having to wrap my legs around a complete stranger's waist. Yeah. I was like, what is happening to me right now? But I did that first class, and I was pretty addicted. I ended up going back like every day. I think I had to go home for winter break, and then when I came back to Boston, I was in Gracie Barra, Boston as my first school. I was there like every day, and that's where they gave me the nickname Maracuja. I progressed really quickly, so in jiu-jitsu you get 4 stripes and then the next belt, and I got my first 3 stripes in the first 3 months, which is a lot quicker than normal because I was so addicted and I was very disciplined with it. I feel like I approached it like I approached ballet. So I was like, it became a part of my routine. And then I competed pretty quickly. I competed, I think, 3 months in, and then again 6 months in. And in my second competition, I competed. I was home in the Philippines for the summer. So me and my mom and my little brother flew to Tokyo for a couple of days just for a vacation, and I was like, hey, why don't I compete too? There's a competition here. So I did that, and I won gold. And it turns out, we were talking to my dad, who was still in the Philippines. It turns out that he had actually broken one of the Southeast Asian records in the same sporting complex.
Oh my gosh.
That I won gold in, yeah, because he was a swimmer, and he did the Southeast Asian Games and all of those things. So he saw a picture of me with my gold medal on the podium, and he was like crying.
Oh,
and
Dad.
yeah, he couldn't come, unfortunately, but my mom in that video of me winning, I was a white belt, so it's not like the biggest deal, but to my mom, who has seen me compete in ballet competitions, has seen me as a dancer, as the first time watching me as a martial artist, you can hear her in that video. It's like 1 minute long. I win by submission, and she's just crying in the background. She's like in the stands, like, Missy, you did it. Yeah,
so funny.
I mean, it's a funny video now looking back on it, but obviously she was just really proud, you know. But and watching it, she was very confused, I'm sure.
Yeah, she's like, how did my ballerina daughter just choke out this girl?
It. None of them can. My Lola, my grandma, and my mom, they can't watch me train.
Oh, really?
I've taken them to training before. My Lola will literally like pull up like a crossword puzzle or anything. She'll just listen to it. And she's like, Missy, I can't watch that. You're gonna get hit in the head. You're gonna get Lola, I will get hit in the head. Yeah. It's an accident. So I don't know how she feels about me starting boxing. I haven't told her about that. Yeah. So we'll see.
I feel like you're the only like martial artist that I've met so far. Maybe there's more out there. I just haven't talked to enough of them, but who likes striking and jiu-jitsu, because there's no in between. Like well, at least from what I've heard, like, or seen or met, like, it's like you either like jiu-jitsu or you like striking, and I've never seen people really like interchange it. I mean, I guess there's MMA, but
I think there are a fair amount. I'm like in the MMA world now, so I know sometimes people like prefer grappling versus striking or whatever, but you know, my philosophy on it, and it might be controversial, is like fights always end up on the ground. So I really like that I know grappling. Not that I hope I will ever use it. I'm a big believer in like run away if you can. Right. I'm never gonna start a fight. But as a girl and as a smaller girl, it's definitely one of the more, I think, empowering martial arts where you kind of learn how to defend yourself off of your back. You learn to use leverage. You learn a lot of things that, can work on bigger opponents, which don't always work in striking because a lot of that is with power. But, I don't know. It was one of my older brothers does jiu-jitsu, and he was like, it's really important that you learn how to do this stuff. Just for, God forbid, like any self-defense situations.
Yeah, because one thing I would give jiu-jitsu is they teach you how to get out of, like, when you're in a vulnerable, like, position, So I'm like, yeah. It's definitely helpful for women to know. I cannot get into it. I don't know. That's just me.
It's a lot of like contact, which people are not always used to. Like when I trained this morning, like, somebody's on top of you and they sweat on you, and like that's not for everybody.
No,
that can be pretty
not
nasty.
at all. Not at all.
But I'm so used to it. I'm so used to contact with dancing too. So I just think it's funny. It's like whenever I talk to my friends who are girls, actually no, friends in general about it, sometimes people are like, but somebody's gonna be like squishing me. I'm like, yeah.
That's the fun part.
I sound crazy. Like, yeah, that's the fun part. And you choke each other and you break their arm. It's great. Like, that's what I sound like to my law school friends.
Yeah. So as a woman and going into like the martial arts world, when you first like started jiu-jitsu, did you feel like there was like a huge like prejudice on?
Things have definitely happened to me in that way, but in general, I think the whole community was very welcoming.
Right.
I will say that there was an instance when I was a white belt where a guy didn't want to throw me because, he kept like lightly placing me down, and I was like, I can land, like, don't
throw
worry.
me.
Yeah, kind of. I was like, it was a hip throw. I was like, just do it.
Yeah.
And he kind of looked at me and was like, well, you're a female. And I was like, oh, like, it was the first time it had happened to me. I was like a 2-stripe white belt, and I looked at the black belt on the mat, and I was like, Professor, he won't throw me because I'm a girl. And he just, this thick Brazilian accent, is like, you won't throw her? Just grabs me by the gi and, like, throws me into another time zone. And I was like, I landed so hard. But I got up, I was dizzy, and I was like, yeah, I'm fine.
Throw me.
Like, I took that shit for feminism, I was like, yeah, I got it. And after then, the guy didn't learn his lesson. But at that point, I was like, all right, some people just, like, they take a while to realize.
Yeah.
And you hear it all the time. Some guys are like, I'm not comfortable rolling with a girl. And it's like, after a while, they realize that, like, we're just another training partner. You might have to adjust a little bit with strength and size, but that's the same with, like, a smaller guy. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm, like, so self-conscious about how loud I'm swallowing.
No, me too. I was, like, holding back a burp from this whole still, like...
Holding back a burp. Just let it out. Bloopers.
Yeah. Bloopers.
Bloopers.
But that is so crazy. I know when I was first introduced into Muay Thai, it wasn't until I started working with MTK.
Yeah.
I was like, what is a Muay Thai? Like, I don't know.
What is a Muay Thai?
What is a Muay Thai? Like, I'm not sure. I just wanted a job. But when I first started getting into it and really, like, practicing the art of it, I'm like, it's just an instant, like, confidence boost.
Yeah.
And like you said, like, the community is just so welcoming, especially, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm biased, especially Muay Thai community.
I'm biased. Yeah. I'm biased. Like, the jiu-jitsu community is pretty
I just feel like there's no, like, holding back. Like, I remember I was like, Coach David was holding pads for me, and he was like, okay, you have to learn how to, like, block because people aren't gonna, like, lightly tap you on the street. And I was like, okay, for sure. And then he, like, swings and he knocks me in my head, and I was like, oh, okay, we're going. This is like a real life scenario here.
I mean,
yeah, but it's just crazy how there's no, or at least I've never been in a situation like you have, like in jiu-jitsu, where it's like, oh, because you're a girl, and
it's what it is.
It is what it is. What would you say, like, to, like, females who are looking to get into jiu-jitsu or martial arts in general?
It's fun. You get to throw people around, and I mean, I've always thought that it was so empowering, and it's one of those things that if you get the what's the phrase? It's like, if you get bitten by the bug, or, like, if you catch it, like, you just, like, stick with it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I've never heard that saying. I mean, I see where you're going with it.
No, like, if you get it, if you're into it, then like you just, you know, it's one of those things that you can't stop. Like you just get addicted to it. And I think jiu-jitsu is like, if you get that, I don't know. I don't know what I would tell girls. Like,
just do it.
Just do
it, Nike.
Just do it. Just try it.
Yeah.
It's fun. You get to choke out men who are much larger than you. Sometimes they go to sleep because they don't want to tap.
Have you ever put somebody unconscious?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
She said...
It's like, I don't know, if guys don't want to tap, like, they won't. And sometimes they can't. Like, sometimes their arm is trapped, and then they can use their foot. So it's not the most fair statement on my part. But, yeah, I've put guys out, unfortunately. Like, and one time I didn't even know. Like, he was on top of me in a bow and arrow choke, and I just, like, looked. There was a mirror behind me, and I looked in the mirror, and I just kind of saw his arm, like, doing this. I was like, what? And I let go, and he was like, I've been out for, like, 10 seconds. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like... but I didn't see or hear you tap, and you're just on top of me, so it's just, I don't know. People, like, you're supposed to leave ego at the door, but people don't always do that, right? Unfortunately.
That is crazy. I mean, you have a whole life ahead of you, don't you? Like a whole life story. She said, I was a scuba diver, a ballerina, and I also do jiu-jitsu, and now you are a law student and photographer.
Yes, that
is. A fight photographer.
Mm-hmm. That is 14 surgeries.
14 surgeries? Yeah.
Like 3.
Your 30s are going to be rough.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned more about you in this 30-minute podcast than I did in our 1-hour lunch. So that is awesome. Oh my God. Man, I wish we would have started earlier, but I definitely would want to have you back, and you guys will see her. She's always at the gym taking photos for you guys. Make sure that if you share her photos, that you're tagging her. And
you forget sometimes.
I do. Yeah, I do forget sometimes, and she'll be like, my photos, and I'm like, yes.
I do that because I'm like, my photos.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Not because of my photos.
Yeah. So if you guys are interested in checking out Missy, where can we find you at?
At maracuja.jpg on Instagram is my fight photography, and missy.makuha is my personal. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Missy, for joining us on this episode.
Thank you for having me.
It was so cool. I feel like we have so much stuff to talk about, but you'll be back. We'll do another one together.
Sorry, I'm talkative.
No, you're good. Well, guys, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Beyond Her podcast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you are interested in listening to some more of this stuff. We're working on it.